Hi guys. Thank you so much for bearing with me during this last week and a half or so of my COVID experience. I'm feeling quite a bit better, and sorry that I'm behind in grading, and sorry that am probably about 3 or 4 days behind in getting this stuff up here. So um, the next unit or area of study. So you guys have talked about why you want to teach. You've talked about teacher status and salary. Talked about kind of the little bit of the ins and outs of getting a job. You've done the sample interviews and hopefully some of you participated in the uh, in the career fair as it came through. If nothing else, just to get your feet wet. And so now we kind of take a look at some of this other stuff, contracts, ethical and legal issues. We're going to save research-based instruction for a little bit later on. So over the next couple weeks, ethical and legal issues, contracts, and in particular, we're going to look at ways that you can apply for jobs. As you go out and do your student teaching, you'll make contacts that way, but there are also job websites and various things like that that you can check out. So we'll go through some of that stuff too. Okay, so your first assignment in this particular unit talks about job website comparisons. And so if you click on this discussion, you'll see, and I know you can read this, but just kind of let me go through this with you then. It says, explore 3 websites designed to advertise jobs available in peak K-12 school settings. 2 websites have been pre-selected for you, and I'll show you those here in a second. And then I need you to find a 3rd site on your own. And what I want you to do is you kind of go through these sites, and I want you to essentially rate them 1 through 10 in 4 categories. How easy is the site to navigate? What's the quality of the job descriptions that are available there? Is applying online actually easy with this website? Sometimes they're not. And what's the overall look/feel of the website? So those 4 categories: ease of site navigation, quality of job descriptions, ease of applying online, overall look of the website. And it's just a trick by me to get you just to sift through these websites and take a look at them, because I think they'll be pretty useful for you as you get out and start looking for your own jobs. I've been invaded for a second. Josh, do you want to say hello to the class? Oops, where's the camera there? There's Josh. Josh is our quarantine kitten, so he likes to hang out. Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Okay, Josh is gone. But what do you guys need to do? 3 websites that I'm going to ask you to review, take a look at. 2 of them I have kind of selected for you. And the first one I'm going to show you is one is called moteachingjobs.com. You click on the link here. Literally it comes up. It's moteachingjobs.com. That's the website. And in order to search the website, you literally go to this thing called Job Search. And what comes up is a map of the state of Missouri, and it's divided up into actually 10 districts, although the district that was called Region 10 no longer exists. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. So Region 10 is not there anymore. But what are you going to do? So if you're looking for jobs, if you have a particular region of the state that you want to fall into, for instance, Northwest Missouri, which is Region 5, you can click on that part of the map. You can click on, so I'm a social studies teacher by trade. So if I looked at, let's see here, here's secondary jobs, and it should be under social science. Okay, let's see in the last 30 days if anything's been posted for social science. Of course not. So it's not that time of year. So let's just do a little bit of an easier search. Let's say we'll look for all the jobs that are open right now, all job vacancies in the Northwest RPDC County area. And there's a few. So there's a high school science job at Trenton, Southwest Livingston, also a science job that's open. Paraprofessionals are needed, superintendents of schools, that sort of thing. So this is a website that extends all around the state of Missouri. You can be pretty specific in what you want to look for, or you can be pretty broad. You could do technically a search for every job that was open across the state of Missouri. Now the trick would be, though, if you look at the Mo teaching jobs, for the most part, the larger school districts in Missouri do not participate in Mo teaching jobs. A lot of times what you'll find in the Mo teaching jobs is smaller schools to mid-sized schools. Okay, so let's just look at all, say over the last 30 days, what's been posted. Notice that most of these, Cape Girardeau is an exception, but most of these are smaller schools, smaller to mid-sized schools that post here. Jefferson City posts here. That's a big school. We saw Cape Girardeau, that's a pretty big school. But like the Kansas City school districts, a lot of times you won't see those here. The St. Louis school districts, you probably won't see those here. They have their own websites. So if you're looking for a small school gig, the Mo Teaching Job website is the place that I would start if I were you, a place that I have started many times in helping other people look for jobs. And on occasion, when I've been looking for jobs earlier in my career, that's where I started as well, the Mo Teaching Jobs website. So, as I said, some of the larger school districts, the Kansas City school districts, the St. Louis school districts, they typically don't use the Mo Teaching Jobs website. They have their own websites, their own human resources website. And that's the second example that I've called up for you here. This is the Kansas City Public Schools human resources website. And you can see the address there. It's specifically, it's got the word hire in the site address. And so if you click on that, Kansas City Public Schools, all of the jobs that are available and the date that they were posted are placed into this website. We looked at a secondary science teacher. Here's another secondary science teacher job that's open. And you can kind of see the job purpose, the essential duties, the minimum qualifications, all that sort of thing, just by clicking on that. Okay, so those are the two websites that I have kind of pre-selected for you. What I want you to do then is take a look at those two websites and rate them on the, again, 1 to 10 in these 4 categories. And then I want you to find a third site on your own. So if you're looking to go somewhere out of state, if you don't want to land in Missouri, if you want to go to Nebraska, I am sure there is a Nebraska Teaching Jobs website that's similar to Mo Teaching Jobs. Same thing in Iowa. I'm sure it used to be called Iowa REAP, or Iowa REAP. Nebraska might have something similar to that. If you want to end up in Arkansas, maybe there's something along those lines. If you would rather end up in a St. Louis area, you can go to an individual district in the St. Louis metro area and find their website. Doesn't matter to me what the third website is. It just matters to me that you have a third website that you can kind of take a look at. The assignment does appear as a threaded discussion, but for this particular discussion, there's no need to reply to anybody else's post. If I were you, I would actually look through other people's posts just to see the third website that everybody's come up with, so that that might be a way for you to get your foot in the door in a place that you hadn't even considered before. The post itself is worth 20 points. All the discussion posts in this course are worth 20 points. So again, I'm going to ask you to do a job website comparison. I've selected 2 of the 3 websites that I want you to look at. I kind of ran through those websites with you. Select the third on your own. And this particular discussion post is due on October 26th. So that gives you a couple weeks to get this particular one done. Okay, a lot of times in the face-to-face version of this class, the students in there are concerned is not the right word, curious. They're curious about what the teacher contracts that they're going to sign. And for you guys within the next year, you'll be signing teacher contracts as well. A lot of people are curious as to what those look like. So you can click on this sample teacher contracts if you'd like. I was able to find some teacher contracts from the state of Idaho. There's a lot of different contracts in here. This is, I think, probably just a Board of Education website in Idaho that kind of published all of these. Note that your salary as a public school employee could be a point of public record. So you can kind of go through some of these contracts and take a look at them if you want to. This is a contract for a lady named Autumn Banks, and it talks about some of the things we talked about in one of our previous units. Her base salary is $31,750. That's 1 FTE. That's full-time employment times 1 full-time employment. Base salary $31,750. and she also has her bachelor's degree plus 2 hours of education beyond the bachelor's. She's got 4 years of experience. So if you remember those salary step schedules that you took a look at, she would start at 31,750 and then move over on that accordingly as to whatever it might actually be. So this one is an elementary teacher. Notice that they assign her as an elementary teacher, not as a first grade teacher, not as a third grade teacher. That's because the district may end up moving you throughout the course of the year, et cetera. It would be at the district's discretion. If you're a secondary teacher, which most of you in this class are, many of you are also K-12, and so the secondary teachers are more likely to have their specific job printed on their contract, but that's not necessarily always the case. You'll see that this one is middle school teacher. So you can kind of take a look at these. No assignment connected with them, but if you do want to see what the contracts look like, and the Missouri contracts are very similar. Very similar. Let's see. And you can just kind of take a look at it. There's language in here. You're assigned a specific job, but there are other duties assigned. It's got the specific salary amount that you make broken down into how many different installments that you will get paid throughout the year. This is a supplemental contract, and so you know, I was a social studies teacher when I taught in public school, but I also coached basketball and coached softball and was a play sponsor and I think a student council sponsor one year. So any extra duty that you take on will be also contracted with you as well, but it'll be a supplemental contract. So you'll make your base salary plus your step. That's one contract, and then any extra duty assignment that you do is also a contract. So if you're the head football coach, you get a supplemental contract, the basketball coach, etc. And those will augment your salary as well, and you're just paid with one installment, if that makes sense. You just get paid once per month, and then all of those different contracts and the different installments in those contracts make up what you get paid. Some school districts pay you for the 9 months that your contract will be in duration. You sign a 9-month contract. Most school districts will pay you 12 installments of your 9-month salary, meaning that you get paid over the summer as well. Some school districts do not do that. Most school districts now just pay you in 12 installments, and that's easier, I think, for everybody involved. When I first started teaching, many of the districts actually just paid you throughout the school year itself, and then you were kind of on your own over the summer. That's mostly changed these days. Just as an FYI, so these are contracts from the state of Idaho, I think in the year 2013. Missouri contracts look very similar. And depending on where you are in the state, we know that actually salaries are, this is 2013 Idaho, 2020 salaries in Missouri are somewhat similar to 2013 Idaho salaries. I don't know if that's good or bad. Well, yes, I do. I know that's not good. So just as an FYI, you could take a look at a 1923 sample teacher contract if you wanted to. I guess if we feel like things are bad for us in Missouri in 2020, we could always go back to 1923 and see that it maybe wasn't quite the barrel of laughs back then either. Okay, one more thing to talk about, ethical and legal issues in terms of hiring and firing and how much is too much in terms of your presence on social media. I will tell you this, is that as soon as I receive your application as a principal, the first thing I did was Google your name. And if anything popped up on the Google that was not very good, then I put your application away. It didn't get considered beyond that point. The second thing I did, honestly, was go to Facebook and try to find you on Facebook if you turned in an application at my school. And again, if the pictures popped up and they weren't exactly, I guess let me put it this way. If there were any pictures on there that I thought might eventually get me as the principal on the news, I would file your application in the trash can. So just be aware that that's a thing. You, as a 21st century person, have a social media presence. Do understand that as a teacher, people will try to find your social media presence. And depending upon how well you curate your stuff, that may or may not end up in the best position for you as a person who's trying to be on the moral high ground in terms of what being a teacher is. So let's take a look at this thing. It's called Carly Crunkbear. This is the most extreme example of social media presence for a teacher that eventually gets her fired, that I've ever found. Carly Crunkbear is a woman whose name, at least at this point, maybe she's married now, but back in it's probably 6 or 7 years ago, Carly McKinney was a first-year math teacher at Overland High School in Aurora, Colorado. And you can kind of read the article. And if you really want to, you can Google Carly Crunkbear, and more stuff will come up. I didn't put them on our course website because some of the stuff that comes up here probably shouldn't be published on a school website. So, but if you Google Carly Crunkbear, more of the stuff will come out. So what I want you to do is read this article, and it's not very long. It talks about a 23-year-old math teacher who's been suspended from her job after it was revealed that she's been posting half-naked photos of herself on Twitter and joking about using drugs at school, all on her Twitter account. The Twitter account was at Crunkbear, and she began to be called Carly Crunkbear. So that's the trick there. So read this article, and then what I'm going to have you do is do some what we call hot takes about this article. And a hot take is just your initial reaction to something, just having maybe a little bit of the facts and maybe not necessarily everything about the situation. It's called a hot take. So I want you to do a couple of hot takes in a discussion. I want you to read the news article, and again, that news article is embedded in this page called Carly Crunkbear. So I want you to read that, and then in the discussion post itself, I'll ask you to react to it. So though the article does not specifically say so, at the conclusion of its investigation, the school district terminated Miss McKinney's contract. So in other words, she was fired in the middle of her first year of teaching for her posts on social media. So in your discussion post here, I want you to take a paragraph to defend each of the following hot takes. Hot take number 1, the school district was wrong to terminate Miss McKinney's contract. Why do you think that? Hot take number 2, the school district was within its rights to terminate Miss McKinney's contract. Why do you think that? So I'm essentially asking you to defend both sides of the coin there. If you want to put your own opinion as to whether she should have been fired or not, you're certainly welcome to do that. But the other thing I want you to do is, in a third paragraph, discuss the following questions. How much is too much in terms of teachers and their social lives? Should teachers be held to a higher standard than other professions? Why do you think that to be? Do you think it should be, or do you think it shouldn't be? Your opinion is up to you, but why do you think that your opinion holds water? So this one is a discussion post that I do want you to respond to 2 other people's posts. So I want you to complete your own response to these questions by next week, so a week from today, October 19th, and then before October 26th, so before another week goes by, I want you to respond to at least 2 classmates' posts with your thoughts about what they had said. So you'll do your own post before the 19th, and then you'll post on 2 other people's hot takes by October 26th. Okay, so again, to wrap us up here, there's 2 discussions that are going to take place over the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk about contracts, ethical and legal issues. The research-based instruction component we'll talk about after October 26th. So I'll erase that off of there. But contracts, ethical and legal issues, take a look at some of those sample teacher contracts. If you have any questions about those, you can always email me, or and we can Zoom about the contracts or anything that you'd like to do with that. The job website comparison, you're going to do 3 different websites that are employment websites. I've selected 2, you select the third. And then the Carly Crunkbear discussion, and how much is too much in terms of social media presence, and do you think that teachers are held to a higher standard? And quite honestly, in many cases, we are. I don't know if that's fair, but it is the thing that usually happens. So you can talk about that as well. And those are the things that are due by October 19th in one case, and then October 26th in the other 2 cases. And if you have any questions, as I said, don't hesitate to contact me. Thanks for rolling with the punches in terms of COVID-19. I hope that all of you guys are staying as safe as can be, and look forward to reading what you have seen and discussed about this. Take care, guys. We'll see you later.